let's start with Alba. Alba, pronouns she, her, calling in from Uncle Sam's ass, who says, how can a person handle a theophany? A theophany, the fanny of a god.
I gotta look that up. I don't know that word.
I believe I looked it up just briefly. It is a visible manifestation to humankind of a god. Neat. And wants to know if there's a path back to atheism following such a thing. Alba, you're on the line with Forrest and Eric. How you doing today?
Hello?
Hello.
Alba.
Oh. I can't hear you all.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hold on. This might be my fault. I have to change the audio when I do StreamYard type shit. So let me real quick.
God damn you, Arden.
Oh, yeah. We were using different streaming.
Helpful
using
jerk.
different streaming software yesterday. So, yeah, it's going to be all messed up.
Yep. Classic. Should have thought to change that beforehand. But, listen. That means I also am going to have to refresh Call in Studio, so hopefully we don't lose them. I don't think we will, but
okay,
do that real quick.
We don't. While we're doing that, we don't read super chats on this show, but I do see them coming in sometimes.
Yeah,
and the
we got some
person
dead air
who
to
just
fill.
said they used to be ex-gay, but thanks to me, here we are. What does that mean? Did I make you more gay?
On dual channel.
Did I encourage you to be gay? Because that's what it should have been.
Caller, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear the stream.
Okay. Can you hear the host?
All right.
Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah, I can hear the host. Yeah.
Awesome. Alba, you're on the line. What are you doing?
Writing.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
My favorite author, sci-fi author, is Philip K. Dick.
I don't know who that is.
The topic of discussion here is his work, my work that I'm doing, I guess emulating Philip, and the nature of theophany. And this is a question I've been waiting to ask all weekend, and I just never had time to call one of the other shows where maybe it would have been more pertinent. But I'll just say it now. So basically, Philip K. Dick had a theophany. He didn't know how to get over it. He did too many drugs. But before that, he wasn't in the best place either for like 8 years. Myself, I was raised an atheist. I loved logic, reason, math, all that sort of stuff. Go to college, never go to church, never get baptized, don't do any of that. Still interested in all religions because I'm a history teacher.
Okay.
But anyways, a couple of years ago, I had a theophany, and it also coincided with my transition. And basically, I don't know how not to believe in my esoteric thoughts. I also don't know how to get rid of them. I don't take them too seriously other than to learn about them and write about them. I learned some wisdom. That's cool. But I guess my question is I guess I'm doing this in the cause of atheism. Like I want to write something that instead of Philip K. Dick talking about God and Valis, and those who know about that story. But with my own life and with Christian nationalists trying to hurt trans people like myself, I want to fight fire with fire. And this is what I said on the Thursday show. Takis, you should check it out. It's a good show. The Line has some good shows. But yeah, I'd just be interested to what y'all think about that. If you had a life that called you to something when you considered yourself an atheist and agnostic for your whole life, I was anti-God for a lot of my life. And now I'm like, I don't know. A doubter, per se.
Right.
So what you say you had this experience. What exactly was it?
Yeah.
I think it's just a vast amount of synchronicities.
What does that mean?
Like, so something will happen. So, for example, last night we were watching a movie, 2 movies. Second movie is called Orlando, My Political Biography. In the movie, one of the people playing this character, Orlando, this non-binary person, had a Vivian Westwood Saturn English cross necklace. My boyfriend gave me that necklace, and my last name may or may not be Orlando, and there's more, and
So
that's just my life.
So a vast amount of synchronicities is basically you're saying a vast amount of coincidences that you've noticed?
Yeah, and I like the rationalist in me just says, "Oh, I'm just a poet. This happens to poets." My brother's an absurdist. He's an atheist, but he defines his atheism with absurdity. So I've kind of inherited that as well. I don't agree with my brother on a lot of things, and he knows, and he's experienced some of the stuff that I've experienced, but he remains an atheist still, and I am myself.
So
yeah,
I've had,
and the list goes on, and I don't know.
I've had a great many like unexplainable coincidences as well in my life that I can say I kept note of. But like definitely important. So for example, when I was a kid, I got an Xbox 360 and I made a gamer tag, and you obviously every gamer tag in the entire world is taken. And so when you get online, it gives you like a string of numbers at the end of it. And the randomly generated string of numbers that it gave me happened to be my house number from when I was a child. So of all the possible 4-digit numbers it could have possibly randomly generated, it happened to come up with the house number that I grew up in and spent the first, couple teen years of my life. And so, in the teens, not couples of teens, it doesn't matter. But like, it's just, I spent, several years there. And that to me sounds like a pretty big coincidence. It does not lend any credibility to the literal existence of Master Chief. And so like, I think if you got like this thing, you said it was a cross necklace or something like that, that sounds pretty fucking like common. Orlando isn't an uncommon name. I think you're talking about like some neat shit happened. Nobody's saying it isn't neat shit. But like,
yeah, I mean,
a lot more than that. It'd have to count a lot more than that to count as a visible manifestation of a god, which is what theophany is that we just looked up.
Yeah, but there is more. I mean, I would be on the, I'm writing about it, and it's not easy to write about, and it'll come out when it comes out. Like
weird shit happens, and like that's not hard to write down.
Yeah. Well, I think the key difference is like when we talk about the problem with Christian nationalism, it's their deification of humans, corrupt, evil humans, and they turn them into gods and warriors and queens, and you see just the most gross shit. And like, I guess what I'm saying is I have my theophany. I'm not taking it deadly serious like Philip K. Dick. And I'm not also just dismissing it. I tried that for a year or two.
Well, you don't necessarily have to dismiss it.
I guess my point is like I'm trying to use it for good, like because I can't get rid of it because it is so deep. It's not just one necklace in one movie. It is a lifetime of that, and there's.
Well, here's the thing, Alba. So
it's just crazy.
Alba, can I ask you a couple questions here? So you describe yourself as a poet and as a writer, and it sounds like you're a very thoughtful person. Would you probably consider yourself a little bit more perceptive and like observant than others? Like, do you kind of keep a closer eye on things around you than you think most other people do? Yeah, I get the same feeling too. I think there are people who are very, very attentive and observe and kind of take note of everything that's going on around them. And then there are others who don't do that to a greater extent. And there might be some people who are just completely oblivious to kind of like most of what's going on around them because they're usually laser focused on one or two things. There's a lot of coincidences, I would say, in life that we don't even notice. You know, like probably just like even as me, like I took a drive today, and I drove by billboards, I drove by license plates, I drove by cars and colors and people. And if I were there and I were to be, my brain was wired to focus on so many things and try to draw those connections, it's safe to say that I would probably be finding way more coincidences doing that than if I wasn't all that attentive, or I would find way more coincidences than other people normally would because they aren't doing that. So the amount of coincidences that you're necessarily observing, you have no real way to determine how many of those coincidences you're actually observing and how many ones you're missing, or how many you're just simply drawing that don't really have like are just like super loose connections, but there are enough in your brain to like, yeah, that's a coincidence. I'll make that little check mark there. The reason I asked all that, I mean, are we kind of on the same page here? Like, is there anything there I just said that's kind of like, no, Eric, you're completely wrong about that?
No,
like,
I think that's fair. Again,
okay.
The world, the modern world, there's more chance for coincidences. Is one thing I'll add on to that. And also, again, I'm aware between someone, and I want to just, separate the two things, right? Someone who is able to make connections and coincidences, and someone who is schizophrenic.
Well, we don't have to bring in mental illness. See, the reason I was asking that, we don't have to bring in mental illness or anything like that. We don't need to like compare ourselves to people whose minds are definitely.
Well, I mean, transness at one point was considered a mental illness. So that's where I also have.
I see.
A lot of trauma from that, from perceiving my entire existence as a crime, as an atheist. Right. I had atheist transphobia that really did a number on me from my dad. So I want you to continue, but this is like kind of the crux of the call. I'm realizing as I'm just experiencing that.
My next question after that was, since there are coincidences in the world, and there are people who notice these coincidences to various degrees, and let's just assume that just the way that your brain is wired, you just simply notice and latch onto these more than others. What kind of a world do you think? Like, and you're appealing to theophanies. So are you basically making the statement that these coincidences or these series of synchronicities, as you put it, is evidence for a deity? Is that kind of your assertion?
No, I think it may be an assertion that, I guess my concept of a deity is almost like an invisible computer-like mind. Like almost like we're in a simulation, like one of those arguments.
And you think coincidences are a feature of that simulation?
Actually, again, this is just my belief that I don't pray to. Well, I guess I want it to happen, but this idea that like history will end, of the Marxist concept of the end of history, the end of time, Armageddon, Revelation, the singularity. To me, it's all this one thing in the future, and basically God is killed for everyone, for every future human being, and we just start living. And the concept of free will is changed forever because you don't have all these zealots in the world of different faiths all arguing with each other in their different languages, never understanding each other. Again, that's where I'm coming from.
I guess let me get to the question I was trying to get to. Let me get to the question I was trying to get to here, because we might get a little lost in the weeds. Imagine two worlds. At any point, hold on. Let me get to my question. Imagine two worlds, Alba. All right. So we have our world that we live in, and we have coincidences in this world. And by your admission, or by our agreement, we are noticing these coincidences to various degrees, person to person. So we have that world. That's world number one. Imagine world number two, where no coincidences ever happen ever. Which of those worlds do you think is more evidence of some type of design? The world with coincidences or the world without?
I'm going to say a world without.
Okay. So now you're looking at a world with coincidences and saying this is evidence of a simulation or a computer mind.
Yeah.
And then you also have a world without coincidences, and you're saying that's more evidence. That's even more evidence of a world without, or with a computer or with a mind. So with or without coincidences, you're saying that's evidence. And to me, that's not evidence at that point, because you're literally covering all cases. A world with coincidence or a world with not coincidences is 100% of all possibilities. And you're saying that that's evidence, like that's not evidence to me at this point because there's no way to falsify it.
I guess my point is that, again, I'm not looking for any evidence other than my own. And so for me, the coincidences have meaning to me. I'm not saying they should mean anything to anyone else.
I know. I'm not saying you're here saying that we should direct our lives this way or anything like that. You're just saying this is what I think, and that's fine. Like I'm not like tearing into you over it.
And like when you said like world with or world without, I mean the answer to me, I don't know. To me, they could both.
That's a fair answer too.
Me, we live in a world where I see the coincidences. So
I see coincidences too. I mean, we all see coincidences in everything. But to me though, if I were to look at it, a world like because in the world we live in, we have mathematics and probability. And I took a statistics class back at university. You can calculate these things and determine like the probabilities of these really like complex scenarios and use mathematics. And you can actually calculate all this kind of stuff out. And coincidences happen at a surprising frequency. In our world, we have a planet with 8 billion people with countless interactions, countless preferences and different views of life and different perspectives and all these things. And we're going to see things just occasionally line up. It's like, imagine I had a billion dice in my hand and I rolled all billion dice at the same time. I can get down in there and I can find all kinds of patterns in the way the dice rolled. That doesn't mean something directed the roll. That doesn't mean there was some type of computer behind it planning out what we would see. It's just mathematics. It's just the way that we see the world work. In my opinion, a world without that, a world without any coincidences, a world without patterns, that would really raise my eyebrow. If we had mathematics that say, yeah, we should be seeing these patterns, but then we never saw those patterns ever, that would completely make me like, oh, whoa, what is going on here? Because something is not lining up the way it should. So I ask you to ask yourself that. Imagine you were to live in that other world and whether that would be evidence. And if that is more evidence, which earlier you said, you did think it was more evidence, but then you kind of said, well, maybe I don't know. And that's totally fair. But ask yourself, why are you thinking these things? And is this really good evidence for what you're gravitating towards, or whether you're just wishful thinking, or you're just looking for something to latch onto that's interesting or special? And, see if maybe those things might be influencing your thinking rather than just an objective stance and using logic. Go ahead.
No, and I appreciate that, and I'll get off and I'll call again once I, continue to develop my thinking and my, separate creative thought from spiritual thought to self thought to, again, intellectual thought. Because I want to say, like, how it's raised. Like that.
If you're writing like this kind of stuff is great for writers. I mean, the creative thinking outside of the box, all these things. This is all really good. Like maybe if you really want to, like, write a story where there is a world that fits. Like it sounds like kind of that's what you're going after. You want to write a fiction about what's about this kind of stuff. So
Philip K. Dick basically that's what he did. Is he wrote 3 different novels about 4 technically, and I guess. My name is Alba for many reasons, but to be honest, one of them is the novel Radio Free Albemuth, Albemuth. Check it out. There's some stuff about a certain president, Ferris F. Fremont. You should check it out. I think that guy might be in charge right now, but
I have his Amazon page up in front of me. Yeah. I have his Amazon page up in front of me right now.
So that one, there's some weird stuff. There's some weird stuff with Philip K. Dick. I actually think if you had to check out one of the 4 books, because there's 4, and don't read all 4 unless you're a really big fan. But I would check out The Transmigration of Timothy Archer, in which Philip K. Dick, the protagonist, he puts himself as Angel Archer, and in his exegesis, he says that Angel Archer is him. He says he is Angel Archer, that he is her, and I don't know. Anyways, have a great day. Do not believe in God. That is my warning. And y'all have been good. If you got any last words, I'm out of here.
Right. I'm just going to finish what I was just saying, and that's harness that creativity in your writing, but do your best to keep it from influencing your perception on reality until you have good evidence to support it. That's all I want to say. But yeah, thanks for the call.
Don't worry, I'm a doubting Thomas.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay, love that. All right, take care, Alba. Thanks so much for the call. Bye. I learned
Philip K. Dick,
about
he wrote
an author.
He wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is what Blade Runner is based off of.
Right on.
Yeah.
That was a very chill and very cerebral call, dealing with some serious things. Let's take a completely different call.
Hey there, Eric. Noting that anyone watching that clip makes atrociously poor life decisions, where should they send their protection money to prevent further damage?
All protection money should be sent to patreon.com/calltheline, or else we will break your kneecaps.
Okay, we can't say that. I think we can't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hit like and subscribe.